Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Friday morning, getting ready for a big weekend. But first, we got our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. High today is going to be 81, and low is going to be, we have 61 here. That's going to be a nice low. The water temperature is at 79. We've talked about it. Sort of, it's been hung on that for about 2 or 3 weeks, but we're going to talk about it when the cold fronts come in, it's going to start dropping too. So we'll talk about that next week a lot. Now, let's take a look right now at the tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Their motto is when carrying counts. So we're looking at a high tide at 3:47 this morning and a low tide at 2:20 this afternoon. It's Friday, October the 17th. These tides are about what I call medium tides. They're not really strong, but they're not neat tides either. So we do have some movement and all. The marine forecast, but we're going to have west-northwest at about 8, so we're not going to have a lot of wind out there. So it's going to be doing pretty good on that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our fishing game times in this segment here, brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. Mark's number is 832-6000, and I'm betting he'll be out catching some redfish this time tomorrow morning, or getting ready to go anyway. We're looking at our times at 7:56 to 9:56, so we go ahead and just say 8 to 10. And then this evening from 8:18 to 10:18, so we'll have a lot of stuff going on then. I know everybody's talking about floundering, and this is the time of year to go floundering. The water got sort of churned up a little bit with the storm we had in the early part of the week, but it should be settled back down, and the moon's in good shape. There'll be a lot of folks out floundering, I believe, this weekend. The night's going to be just sort of a cool and crisp night, and it won't be cold. Just, you want to take a jacket with you and wear long pants, but it'll be some excellent floundering. I think it might still be a little bit muddy up in some of the little bayous and all, but most of the bay should be cleared up, and especially down toward the end of the bay should be really in really good shape for floundering. We'll talk about that more in our fishing report, okay? Let's go ahead and take our break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We're going to talk a minute about bass fishing. I always want to think about bass fishing. I always think about the organization, in addition, of course, the fun of catching bass, but think about BASS, Bass Angler Sportsman Society. I remember when it first came out, my brother and I, who was a big outdoorsman, and we were fascinated. Somebody was able to put out a magazine on bass fishing. It we had the Field and Stream and all those magazines, but this particular guy just concentrated on bass fishing. We were fascinated with the concept. And Ray Scott, he came up with the idea in 1967. He was in a motel room in Jackson, Mississippi. He was watching a basketball game, watching a competition, between the team and all. And he thought to himself, why can't we do something for bass competition, have these fishermen meet on the weekend and just compete against each other and release the fish and all that. So anyway, he got the concept going, and of course the rest of it is history. It became a phenomenal organization, and he started, of course, the Bass Masters Classic, and his first tournament he had over in Beaver Lake, Arkansas, in 1968. I think he had about less than 100 anglers, and first place was $2,000. Compare that to the $300,000 they can win now in a Bass Masters Classic. So he went on, and Forrest Wood, who started Ranger Boats and the Wood family, just in Arkansas. They just had a great concept of a bass boat. Their factory burned down in 1971, and I tell you the kind of guy Ray Scott was. He just went ahead and suspended building Ranger boats for their ads in the Bassmaster magazine. He just quit building them until they built the factory back. I always thought that was really shows the kind of character that Ray Scott had in the early years of building this concept and all. So, all those names, Bill Dance. I wrote down all the names of those guys. Roland Martin. They were just legendary men in the early. They just dominated the scene for a long time. But Bass Masters, I always, it's just fascinating watching those guys and all. I was thinking about, and his concept was, and the biggest thing, other than just getting more people bass fishing, the biggest thing, one of his contributions to me, is that it was a bass fisherman who initiated the concept of catch and release. And now over 90% of bass are caught and released. And before the BASS came out, it was 90% of them were kept and eaten. But now 90% of them are caught and released. You know, if we want to catch some freshwater fish, they'll catch some brim and all to eat. But the concept of catch and releasing, you know, goes back to the bass fishermen. You know, and they also started a Lady Bass Masters, and it was just a really great organization. So anyway, in fact, I'll tell you what he did too. I was reading up on it last night. He went to the Army Corps of Engineers was charging people to fish a certain area, had a service charge to use certain areas. He actually went to the U.S. Congress to the Senate hearings and got that changed. And I couldn't help but to think about these boat ramp fees. How, you know, I'm sure he would fight that if he could, if he knew about it. But you know, that's another story. I'm going to talk more about that. By the way, I hear it may be coming to Mexico Beach. Boat landing is going to start charging. But Ray Scott actually went to the U.S. Senate and fought the service fees and won, and they had the Senate reverse that. So anyway, with all that being said, I got an opportunity at this CEOPA conference we went to meet Ray Scott. And what a nice and warm person he was. I have a short little interview with him, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So Jeff, let's go ahead and roll this little interview here. We'll be right back.
So we got there, and first thing he did was knock the people out of the way and went fishing on the pier. He caught a little fish about a pound. And he's holding up for a cameraman. And he looked over at Daddy. I looked over at me and said, "Ray, this is a 6-pounder?" I said, "Yeah, in Texas."
Folks, I'm here with the legendary Ray Scott. He don't need an introduction, but we're up here at this meeting and all, and they brought me over to meet you, and it's an honor to meet you.
Well, it's my honor to meet you, and I love Panama City. I learned how to swim in that diving, missing those porpoises. I mean, the sharks and porpoises.
Yeah.
But Panama City is a great lake, and you guys you got good fishermen down there.
Yes, we do.
Anybody that's watching us is interested. Get a pencil, write my 800 number down. I don't really know what it is. Let's see it.
We got it on here somewhere. We got a place to go fishing down there.
Yeah, it tells you all about it. I'll send you some propaganda on it.
Okay.
Outdoor Life says it's the best bass fishing lake in America.
Wow.
Really, I swear it's quoted. 1-800-518-7222. Okay. And that's in Panhandle, Alabama, right there below Montgomery, about 20 miles.
If you were to tell my viewers if you had a secret of catching bass, and if you just had 1 or 2 tips, if you just put like 1 or 2 tips, not the whole book.
No.
Just 1 or 2 tips.
Well, the best tip I got is to be patient, because they don't always work out as quick as you think. But it's, I don't know, I just think that you got to realize and presume that every fish is hungry if you just put the lure in front of him or her.
Well, what's some of your favorite lures?
Well, I love topwater, but that don't work all the time, you know. And I throw anything it takes. I throw jigs and plastic worms, of course. It's crankbait. In my lake, you get spoiled real quick, because it really is. I don't say this as a brag, but it's hard to find something they don't eat because they're hungry.
Well, listen, do you still get to fish much yourself?
Yeah, all I want to live right there about somewhere between 7 and 8 feet from the water.
You throw it out the back door, huh?
I want you guys, all those guys that watch your show, and I've heard of your show, by the way. It's popular with those. Everybody around there knows about you fishing.
Well, thank you.
I'd love for you guys to call that number, and if you want to fish, and it ain't cheap, but it's a good trip. If it ain't good, you won't be coming a second time.
That's right.
And we have more repeaters than we do regulars.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're here with the legendary Ray Scott. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate y'all coming.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Really a nice man. And by the way, next year's conference will be at Lake Eufaula, and he's going to be giving away a fishing trip. In fact, up there they gave away a fishing trip as a fundraiser, so it's going to be interesting. But the Bass Angler Sportsman Society is that was the groundwork. Those are the guys that did the trailblazing, and for the guys and the girls that do all the bass fishing, tournament bass fishing now. Of course, there's been a lot of splinter groups come from that, but he was the original one. So I hope you enjoyed it. Now, looking at I was mentioning about the boat ramp fees. This is sent to me in the mail by one of our viewers, October the 6th, News Herald, and I was mentioning about the Mexico Beach boat ramp, and it was sort of in fine print right here. But basically, what they're talking about doing the Mexico Beach boat launch is in need of repairs. Boy, do you see the politicians coming out now? Just like the St. Joe boat ramp, we predicted this was going to happen. Now, remember that when we started talking about the St. Joe boat ramp, that it's going to be like the dominoes, and somebody mentioned in the letter that another domino is falling, and it's a shame they got to do that. Us sportsmen, they want us to carry them. Now, you know, they're saying it's in need of repair. Well, you know, most things around saltwater is in need of repair on a constant basis. That's called maintenance. And what's going on, you know, they said right here, this fee, if we use this fee, it would help pay for it itself. In 2 months, the St. Joe boat ramp has brought in $14,000. Now, that pales in comparison to what, you know, we're doing a ramp right here in Panama City at Carl Gray Park, and they're not charging us anything, and that money's coming from the federal government. And there's all kind of money out there for boat ramps, but it shouldn't be, we as outdoorsmen shouldn't have to put that on our back and do that. I'm going to talk more about that, but thank y'all. I appreciate the viewers' interest in this, and I appreciate you know, sending me that information and all. We'll try to find out more about it, but it's sort of ironic that that's exactly what we said was going to happen. Now, let's go to a more positive note. I was talking about, let's look at a couple of pictures. Talking about something positive now. You know, some people try to charge us money, and then some people try to help other people. And here, down in Carabel, this is the Wounded Warrior weekend they're going to be having. It's going to be October, the American Legion post down there, post 82. They're going to have a fundraiser October the 25th at 5:30. Be serving meals, Thomas Lee's famous smoked chicken quarters, and I've eaten those, and they are delicious. They got a big old smoker down there, and it's just a fundraiser. It's 100% of the proceeds will go to the Wounded Warriors, 100%. And it's part of the Wounded Warrior Project, and different communities do different things. It's great to see them doing that. Okay. Now, I got one or two pictures. Check this one out here. Nick Raffield of the Raffield family. Nick's over there finally got him a big old catfish. Good job, Nick, and good to see you still fishing and hard on the freshwater side. Okay? Then a dove picture ran into Chad Taylor the other night. This is their annual family dove shoot they have. They got 60 birds up there in Orange Hill. Good job there. They get together every year and have a great time. So, and one more saying, keep this in mind. Well, a lot of times most of the people who died yesterday had plans for today, so don't take life for granted. A lot of times we'll get ready for doing something, and we forgot to give thanks and all for the things we do have. So, with that being said, and I also have an email here. One of the viewers wanted to know. Let me read this right here. I was watching the show Friday and was so excited that a gentleman pulled out my name for the $20 from Tarpon Dock. Do I need to go to Tarpon Dock and pick it up? I get that question a lot. Yeah, once your name is pulled, I call and give them your name. All you do is just drive down there and pick it up and talk to Caleb. That's usually who I talk to, one of my former students, Caleb. It went on to say, my husband, Bobby, and I love to watch your show every day. God bless you and your show. Thank you again, Jelena Barnes. So glad you enjoyed that. So we're glad to do it. Now, why don't we go and do that now, matter of fact, before we go into the video. We're going to, let's draw for today. Okay, first one will be $20 from Tarpon Dock Seafood, and the winner is Nat Harris. Nat Harris, good job. Nat's got, you remember the pictures I showed one day this week, all those tuna. So I bet on the $20 he's not going to buy tuna. So $20, Nat's a loyal viewer. He's out there fishing in Venice, Louisiana. And sent me some pictures. I was up in the mountains when he was trying to send me the pictures. I couldn't receive them. All right, but we finally got him. And now the red snapper winner is Bobby Tiller from Panama City. Bobby Tiller and Nat Harris are the two big winners today. So congratulations, and you can send your names in any time for a sweepstakes. Next week I'll be giving away some packages, some really nice tackle packages and different things for the outdoorsmen. So send your name in. Make sure to try to email it to me so I'll get the names and we'll get them in there. Now let's we're going to set up our other video. This is just a preview, a review of Tuesday night's Highland Park Baptist Church Wild Beast Feast. And I just shot about 2 minutes worth and didn't really interview anybody, just sort of overview. And I want to again congratulate that church, Tommy Lumley in particular, who spearheads it, but he has an enormous amount of help. Bill Dozier and all those guys who get out there and work really hard, and they had a huge crowd and a great speaker. Really enjoyed him, and so let's go ahead and look at this little 2-minute video on the cookout the other night, and then we're going to come back with a famous Friday fishing forecast.
You know, this is a little old small town. People can go where they want to go. People don't fit the
honor for me to be here tonight, and I know we're going to have a great time.
Welcome back. Again, that was a lot of fun the other night. Appreciate all those guys doing all that work. But let's get in now to our famous Friday fishing forecast brought to us by Tarpon Dock Seafood. Run by and check them out for any kind of fresh seafood you want this weekend. Listen, let's start over in a lot of times when I start over in the west end, I'm talking about Choctawhatchee Bay, but there's some fine fishing in the surf in South Walton County. And I used to fish there a lot. I used to fish 38 before folks, before it became seaside and all those areas when it's just very isolated. So let's look at some of the places. And there's still some public access for some surf fishing along the way. There are a couple places through here that have public access, and these are some of the areas we used to go. That's one in here, and I'll show you more particular later. But I just want you to be aware this is a great fishing time of the year for fishing in the surf. Seagrove Beach is an excellent place to go surf fishing. I know you have seaside here, and it does get crowded on weekends and all, but if you get up early in the morning and fish to some of these areas where they have public access, it's excellent fishing. And a lot of those folks don't get up 9 or 10 o'clock anyway, and by then you go to have a mess of pompano. But remember, those pompano will be popping up over there pretty soon. So don't forget that surf fishing area in South Walton County. As far as Choctawhatchee Bay, river's been high the last couple of days. It's going to be a little bit muddy, but the fishing still should be good up around those docks up there around Freeport. Now let's move on down to St. Andrew Bay. But St. Andrew Bay, the big thing we always talk about, I mentioned floundering and all. And a lot of folks will be floundering tonight and tomorrow night. It should be good. Now, keep this in mind. With each cold front we get, and we're at this point now we're starting to get cold fronts. Each cold front we get, we're going to have a little bit of activity. Fish going to start moving a little bit. These fish don't just, the flounder all of a sudden just appear. They're out there, but now they're going to start moving a little bit toward the pass. And this is when the old timers will start looking for them. They'll start gigging them. They'll catch them, and they'll have all kind of big old stories to tell about catching flounder this time of year and gigging them. So be aware of that. Also, the pier fishing has been really good. The king mackerel has been good off the pier. The Spanish has been good. Again, it's been a weekly basis. I've been getting good pictures of sailfish. You saw where my neighbor caught on a 16-foot rig caught a nice sailfish right outside the pass the other day, Ernie Regadio. So good job on that. So the sailfish has been again phenomenal this summer and into the early fall. Okay. Also, let's go down toward Mexico Beach. We got a good report here. Mexico Beach, right here in the center. Mitch Coleman sent this in. He said he's with Florida Days Adventures down there. Always sends us a good report. His water temperature is about 78 to 79. The water's clear. There's plenty of bait pods around the buoy line holding large Spanish and kings. The bottom bite is very good on structure for beeliners, trigger, and black snappers. You saw some pictures of some of the stuff this week. They're catching them on squid. That's beeliners, trigger, and black snappers. Keep the hooks and the bait pieces small to keep the red snapper off. That's a good tip right there. The more bait you put on there, the bigger fish you're going to catch. So these are small fish, and they're good eating. Some flounder on the reef rubble sites and in the canal on mud minnows. Not much report on pompano, but plenty of sand fleas in the surf, so they should be close. And we talked about that last time I was down the Cape a couple weeks ago. There were just a lot of sand fleas all over the place. So looking good over there. It's just a matter of time. St. Joe Bay is still dragging a little bit. It's still a little bit slow in St. Joe Bay according to the reports. But again, the surf fishing should be picking up. The third week of October has always been an excellent time to start surf fishing. So from South Walton County on out to the west end of Panama City Beach, a great place to go. Cape San Blas area, all through there, and of course St. George Island. And the redfish bite again continues to be good in Apalachicola Bay. They're catching around the oyster bars over there, and that's been a good spot too. Don't forget to check out. The big thing I want you to learn from today, though, is these cold fronts. Make sure when you have a cold front come through, make sure you understand that these fish are starting to move, and the mullet are starting to ball up. Mullet's been really good. I've had some good reports. Cobia, the cobia bite here in Panama City has been excellent. A lot of cobia brought in. You saw some pictures we had this week. So all in all, it's been a pretty decent week. The water temperature around 78, 79. It's going to start dropping. We mentioned that already. And down in Carabel, they're catching the grouper bite's been slow, but the They're catching a lot of mullet, and they're catching a lot of redfish on the, guess what, the gold spoon. Got to get out of here. We want to thank God for all these beautiful sunsets and hungry fish. We want to thank you for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Do something good. Have a great weekend, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.